Well, hello, Flatties and Globe Defenders. It's Critical Think from Down Under. And finally, I've got round to doing part 4 of the curvature found in Byron Bay. Now, there's some very interesting things in this video, and as usual, it's really bad news for you Flatties.
Just a quick recap of this observation done in October 2018. Byron Bay is Australia's most eastern point. It's very picturesque and has some excellent beaches. It has become home to the rich and famous and is generally packed chock full of tourists, alternative lifestyle enthusiasts and happy clappers. It also has some wonderful observation points for confirming that the Earth is indeed a globe. It was right on top of Cape Byron that I performed the infamous red tube experiment, as proposed by Flat Earth Dim Dim Antonio Subirats. Well, surprise, surprise, the result was not to Antonio's liking. Funny about that. Anyway, back to the program. This was a day-long observation and was performed from various points along the coastline, moving north from Cape Byron. In part 3 we got as far as Brunswick Heads. You can go back and watch the first 3 parts if you want to see the wonderful globe evidence gathered so far. Here's a couple of shots from previous locations. I also stopped at New Brighton, South Golden Beach and Pottsville. This is a sample of photographs and video from these locations. Pretty much more of the same, Julian Rocks and Cape Byron obscured by the Earth curve. Now this is a view of Hastings Point as we are getting closer. And here is a video I took from the car park. I had trouble trying to find Julian Rocks. I couldn't see it. Also, there's a ship going past. But wait, where's the bottom of the ship? And there's also no visible inferior mirage. What will the flatties use for an excuse here then? Oh, another ship making like a submarine. Oopsie, oopsie. And no, this effect is never caused by perspective. That ship is over the curve. Flatties often say there is no evidence of curvature. What they really mean is, oh, the Earth must be flat, so I won't believe any evidence you show me. Things got really interesting when I got to Cabarita Beach. And now for the old one ship passing another trick. It right away burns several excuses that flatties use. There doesn't seem to be much of an inferior mirage. I can see beyond the mythical convergence line that apparently makes things invisible. If the Earth were flat, wouldn't the ocean appear to rise up so that the background vessel would appear higher in the water? Isn't that how perspective is supposed to work? Things further away appear to rise up, remember? But somehow that second ship is lower than the first. I wonder why that could be. From the top of Norrie's Head, I took a shot back to Cape Byron. I didn't realise how significant this photo was until I went to analyse it a few days later. It's 34 kilometres to Cape Byron and 31 kilometres to Julian Rocks. You can see the rocks here poking up above the horizon just to the right. I didn't even see this when taking these photos. Now here's a little bit of a video that shows Julian Rocks there, and we zoom out. Because of the high zoom, the rocks look very close, so I had to check everything, and it all checks out, including them appearing where they should be in the line of sight. So there's the line of sight, there's the rocks just to the right, and that's looking from Norrie's Head. I went back again 2 weeks later to verify what I was seeing here and took a close-up shot of the rocks. I decided to do some analysis on this. Here's a photo taken of Julian Rocks from the beach in Byron Bay. I determined the approximate height of the rocks by analysing this photo. There are the stats for the photo, and here's the analysis. It comes out to be about 20 metres high. Now, analysing the other photo, we do the working and we find out that a little bit more than 11 metres is poking above the horizon. Looking at the Earth curve calculator, the expected value is 12.3 metres without any refraction. It would appear that conditions on this day were fairly neutral refraction-wise. No inferior mirage, and the numbers are close to the geometric expected. Floodies often complain about the numbers not matching the geometric curve calc, but why do they never complain about the numbers not matching the flat calculator? According to the flat calculator, there should be nothing hidden. Why is this never a problem for flat earthers? Now I'm going to take one step further and do some more analysis. Here's the orthogonal view. I know flatties think an orthogonal view doesn't count, but I have already shown that the orthogonal view matches reality in a video I did for Bob the Science Guy just the other day, and now I'm going to do it again. Using this side view, we will use numbers to again dispel several flat earth myths. Note, I have presupposed a flat earth and used Euclidean geometry everywhere here. Now let's test how well the flat earth fits the presupposition using the Flatty accepted non-spherical geometry. I have calculated the angles at which we would view various points. The angle down to Byron Bay Beach is 0.059 degrees. The angle down to the top of Julian Rocks is 0.027. To the bottom of the rocks, 0.065. And to the mythical convergence line, which coincidentally is at the same place as the spherical Earth horizon, it's 0.091 degrees. Now the first thing to note is that none of these angles are less than that limit of optical resolution of the human eye, which is 0.02 degrees. Now, I must stress that this is completely irrelevant when using a zoom lens, but I only mention this because flat earthers insist that the reason the horizon appears at 3 miles for a 6-foot observation is that this angle turns out to be 0.02 degrees. Then they come to the false conclusion that everything further away is invisible because the angle will be below the limit of angular resolution of the human eye. Like I said, completely irrelevant when using a zoom lens, and we will come to that in a short while. It should also be pointed out that unresolvable does not equate to invisible. You can still see it. Anyway, none of these angles are small enough to render any of these things invisible according to the flat Earth criteria. None of them are lower than that magic 0.02. It is true that the resolution of the surface items becomes smaller as you lower your elevation, but the surface never actually disappears. Flatties take a well-known fact and then extend that to a false conclusion. We are told by the flatties that the horizon is the point where things start to disappear because of this angular resolution. But you can see here that at 0.09 degrees, this mythical convergence line, if there were such a thing, could not be where the horizon is. Flat Earth fail right there. We can also see that the angle to Byron Bay Beach should make it visible. That's 0.059 degrees. You should be able to see it. The angle between the top of the rocks and Byron Bay Beach is also large enough to make it visible. All this is irrelevant, of course, because with a zoom lens on a flat Earth, there would be no trouble at all seeing Byron Bay Beach from the top of Norrie's Head. I can see the lighthouse, so I should be able to see the beach, which is closer. All of this screams that our presupposition of flat is wrong. And just to rub in a point here, you will notice that there is no noticeable inferior mirage either. Oh dear. What are we going to do for an excuse now, flatties? You should see the ocean appear to rise from the bottom of the rocks to Cape Byron, but you can't. There's no excuse for limit of sight either, because the lighthouse is clearly visible and that's further away. So what do you got left, flatties? Oh, you will probably claim that the orthogonal view is not a representation of reality. No flatty has ever been able to prove this, they just say it. All of their gullible followers swallow this hook, line and sinker. Well, look at this. The top of the rocks is 0.027 degrees and the bottom is 0.065 degrees. That's a 0.038 degree difference. 11 metres of the rocks are visible, making the visible part about 0.02 degrees. Now if you check my working here, you'll see that it works out from the photo that I measured it at 0.02 degrees. So here's the photo. The orthogonal view matches the reality. Funny about that. Looks like it ain't flat after all, eh, flatties?